everybody. I'm Jeff Apodaca.
Eric Strauss.
And welcome back to another edition of Let's Meet in the Middle.
In the Middle.
Today's topic is going to be very, very interesting, but we'll get to that in a second.
That's going to be more than interesting.
We have our wives on the...
We wonder if we can last in our relationship, and now we're bringing the wives into the mix. So this should be nothing short.
This will be good TV.
Of magical TV.
As our production crew says, ooh, this is going to be
We had actually a pre-production meeting, one of our first.
We did.
With the wives. To see if they...
And I think we've agreed that they're going to be on for 2 segments.
Yeah.
And anyway, we're talking about topics today. And, you know, we talked last week about the judges.
Yeah.
Here's another, and I got a video, but here's another, a guy been out 4 times, DUIs.
Yeah.
He's now out on parole again, waiting for trial again, and he, like, took the police on a high chase pursuit. Again, we have to look at these judges, and I get Judge Daniels had just passed away, but we got to look at these judges that are letting these DUIs or letting these situations out, because this guy flipped over an 18-wheeler and has caused more problems. He's now out again, and it just goes to show you that we need to solve this problem with our judges.
If I'm a judge, am I just following the letter of the law? Are they... I always wonder this, because at some point, don't they want to keep the criminals behind bars?
And again,
or is there so many, you know, rules of release that they're just following the rules,
they're gonna say
and they're washing their hands?
Yeah, they're going to say they're following the Supreme Court ruling. So
that's what I'm wondering. It's like, can you make the judge accountable for following the rules, or are the rules the problem?
Well, again, a couple episodes ago, we talked about it. I think it was 53% of the judges are kind of like they're being hardcore. 47% of the judges are following the strict rules, and that's why we have this catch and release situation.
So I wonder if it's like, you know, normal work environment where you have some people that really follow the rules and some people that bend, you know what I'm talking about? Like in a normal work environment.
What's happening in your world?
My world, Tim Keller is moving towards replacing our city fleet with more efficient electric hybrid. He rolled up on Civic Plaza in a Volt, complete with one Albuquerque. So they've spent over $300,000 on the one Albuquerque campaign.
Right. Which I know you're not a fan of.
Pins and swag.
Well, you know,
okay, so I'm a fan of fiscal conservancy.
Right.
Why do we have so many bureaucrats with so many cars anyways?
Well, I think electric cars and building out electric infrastructure is important too.
But buy the fleet and then create the infrastructure?
No, I agree.
Because it's going to turn into another art project.
By the way, I'm going to take the fifth on this, because I'm a co-founder of a electric charging station company called Go Station. We're rolling out our first demos.
Yeah.
Our first prototypes at Windrock. So I'm going to take the fifth on this because I think it's an opportunity.
Look, I don't mind it, but apparently they pollute more than gas cars.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about is, I know you love to talk about the media and how they're on Trump, but here's an example. Like Trump, I think everybody saw this, the hurricane map, and then we saw this where someone
show it up so they can see.
Well, no, they're going to show it on the screen.
The hurricane.
So on the Sharpie.
Yeah.
So here's the one with the Sharpie, and here's the one without the Sharpie. So clearly somebody, and my point is, somebody changed it, but my point about the whole thing is Trump tweeted about Alabama. He was wrong. He doesn't want to admit that he's wrong. But my point is, if he'd have just let it die, but then he holds a press conference, shows this map for 8 days, it's now in the news cycle, and I agree with you that the media is running with it, but he's running with it too. It's like ridiculous. It's like there's hurricanes going on. Let's talk about the hurricanes, not about the fault. Just admit that you were wrong.
If the anti-Trumpers could get that he's leading a 3-ring circus, and you guys just bite into it every time, your side of the coin, if you would just understand that basic premise. And who likes to admit they're wrong, by the way?
I admit when I'm wrong.
Oh my God.
I'm wrong sometimes when I have lunch with you.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Okay, what else?
Okay, look.
Because we're going to have an interesting...
Trump's actually coming September 16th.
Who?
Trump, our president of the United States.
Who's Trump?
So he's coming to Rio Rancho on the 16th of September. I may be broadcasting live with News Radio KKOB out there. You can click on his website, get free tickets like this. They look like this. You get a free ticket. It doesn't take much to...
Can I come?
It doesn't take much to get a ticket. Anybody can come. Anybody can come. It's open to everyone.
Let's do the TV show live.
I would love to do the TV show live.
And maybe you think our man's on the...
You might get fired up and vote for him in this next election, because that guy can give a rally like anybody.
Anyway, hey, we got to get going.
The wives are coming in.
The wives are coming in. We're talking about modern relationships beyond hashtags. Hey, let's meet in the middle.
In a time of a divided America, two people from different points of view sit down to talk about the problems, to talk about ideas, to talk about life, and to find common ground. It is now time for Let's Meet in the Middle with your hosts Eric Strauss and Jeff Apodaca.
Welcome back to Let's Meet in the Middle. We are going to either create havoc, chaos, or we're going to have a really good segment.
I'm hopeful. I'm not going home in trouble.
We're breaking history here. Joining us now are the wives, Linda Strauss, Jackie Moss Apodaca, and I don't know if this is insanity, if it's going to be good television. We really don't. Even from the start, I already got accused of zingering. So we'll see. We'll see where this thing lands.
I know. Who I'm going home with tonight. So I'm not going to zing anybody.
Just a reminder. This is hashtag. What did we finally land on for the title?
Modern relationships
beyond hashtags. And we had done a pre-meeting, a breakfast meeting, one of our first ever pre-production meetings for the show. And I guess we'll just start with what to you both, and you could take either one of you, is really the impetus behind balancing life and work these days, and being a mom and being a career-driven woman, and what you see in the media, and the kind of, do you feel guilty for being a career woman these days, or is it just part of the bill?
Is that one or two or three questions?
Yeah, it's kind of a.
You see what I'm dealing with, Linda?
Yes.
I'm married to him.
I know. No, but I think a good point. We've talked about it. How hard is it to juggle? Each of us have two kids. We have two boys. You guys have a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
All about the same age. We're all business career people, plus raising our kids. And we thought this would be a good idea for the show because when we are all talking about it, we deal with the same things all the time, and with the hashtag Me Too, how is that affecting parents? How is that affecting us?
Relationships.
As moms, as career ladies, how is that affecting you guys? Because I think that's what our audience wants to hear.
Do you want to take it?
Which is about 5 different ways to ask the same question, you goofball.
So let's focus in, you guys.
Okay.
It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. It is difficult. I mean, I don't know, I go through it too, where I get the mom guilt of like, I really want to be home and I want to cherish each and every moment. But then there's part of you too that, I think being a woman and a mom, you want independence. I want my daughter to know, there's something out there, and go get it and do what you want, and, have that education, strive for a business. I'm part of a family-owned business. I have an automotive shop, so it's very out of the whole women type of industry. And, I'm really proud of it. And it challenges me every day. But it is hard. It's hard to say how you balance it, because sometimes I just feel like I am just running. And we're just keep going. And, and I know that these days won't last really that long. So I just try and savor everything I can.
And Jackie, how I know we talk about it. How is it with you?
There's no such thing as balance. That's a marketing
I agree.
hogwash term that is just a joke for women to be angry or guilt each other, and whatever you're doing, you're going to be guilty. Yeah. So it's basically like you have to give to your kids. You have to understand they're only going to be home for 18 years, hopefully. Right. And then they go off and be successful little people in the world.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I stayed home for the first 10 years, but I always did some kind of nonprofit or, helped people start a school,
or helping me on
helped you
our
for 2 years.
And helped us in
that
our
was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
And also helping on the campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackie campaigned as much as I did for 2 years.
She never truly didn't do
Never.
She just didn't get paid for a while.
Yeah, and I have to stop myself when Jeff's home, like watching the kids. I'm like, your turn to babysit the kid. Wait, they're not babysitting when they're their own kids. It's kind of it's a fallacy to know that you can balance it, because everyone's life is different, and you have to take respect for someone else's life without criticism.
Well, one of the things we talked about the other day was how hard and difficult it is now with the Me Too movement, and we all talked about how we were raised, right? And I want to talk a little bit about that, because I think we were all kind of raised very similar, but how is that affecting our kids, raising our kids? You have a boy and a girl. We have two boys. And
the difference in that, because even in our pre-production meeting, raising a girl, and you guys have two boys, and the differences, even in talking to you guys about the things that occupy my space as a dad with a little girl, and the space it occupies your head with being a dad with 2 boys.
Right.
And then your background from being a high school teacher
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Well, but, from our background, I grew up with 3 sisters. And so God bless my dad and my mom, but my mom is a very strong, equal rights feminist woman, and I love her and I appreciate her, and I just admire everything she did. But I have 2 boys, and I wonder what they are doing all the time, because this is behavior my sisters and I just didn't do.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, what I learned as a sister with my sisters is, like, I'm an equal. I'm an equal. I can do any job. I just got to put my mind to it. And that's what I got to teach my boys, is that, yes, you better open the door. You better act like a gentleman. And Jeff and I've called them gentlemen since they were babies.
Yeah.
And never talk down to them. Never baby talk.
They have to open up
Right.
the doors for people. They have to be respectful to people. And it's one of the things, like one of our sons came home last year and said, because they see it, and our kids are in 5th grade now, but last year they were in 4th. Literally, one of our sons came home last year and said, Daddy, what's wrong with boys? Why are girls so much better? So it's filtering down into the elementary, middle schools, and we're very cautious about how we raise our kids and how respectful they are. Because I grew up in a household, my parents had 5 kids in 7 years. I had 3 sisters. And my mom and dad taught us, and especially you guys know Clara, taught us to be prepared for your opportunities. At the same time, my mom has fought for women's rights her whole life, but at the same time, she's also been there as a mom to make lunches, dinners, support my dad and our family. So it's a juggling act that's very, very hard.
And before you go
Right.
too far off, how
Yeah.
we handled that situation was
Yeah.
when Asher asked us, why are women right now considered better than men? I had to explain to him, sweetie, the women that are talking out right now are people who've been violated, people who have not been respected. And I said, you're not worse than a woman, and women are not better than you. It's just, we have to treat each other like equals, and we have differences. That is clear, we have differences, but it comes down to equality.
Yeah.
Well, see, but here's where, and we talked about muddying the waters a bit on this conversation, and Linda, there's a big issue in terms of raising our daughter,
Right.
and that really balancing line between, the expectation is boys come to the door, boys open the door for you, and those traditional elements, but then, if she's becomes that expectation, and that how she moves forward in terms of this new hashtag Me Too and women empowerment. I mean, and that delicate balance between, we want these traditional kind of expectations versus everybody's expecting you to be this empowered woman that, opens the door for men almost,
Right.
And that's a big difference.
But the hashtag Me Too is not for those types of situations. It's for situations where women were belittled and abused.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Well-
that's where I think a good movement has come out of that. And then I look at my boys and I say, well, but wait, there are good guys, like you said, good guys in the world.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's good
There
and
are
bad.
good guys in the world.
Yeah.
But
Pointed
they,
at me, by the way.
I did.
Just remember that.
See, we got to teach
You don't know
everyone.
him that
yeah,
well,
there's
apparently.
always good and bad, and with everything too,
Yeah.
there's
Right.
abuse of,
Power
of
and-
power, of even sometimes these movements where people unfortunately steer it towards something else. But I do think, and I even mentioned this, said it's kind of neat that my daughter does have these really awesome role models, and and it's something that is just coming to. So it's really neat that I think they have that. But I think what we also talked about is basically we got to make everyone have respect for each other. And I think that's the basic element that we all got to, there's differences between a male and a female, and it all comes down to mannerisms and respect and how we really treat each other.
No, and it's interesting, Linda, because we're raising boys in this situation, and we're amazed that again, sometimes, like, where did it turn off some of this younger generation? We were taught how to raise our kids. We're not dealing with raising a girl right now, and in today's world where women have to be independent and career people at the same
Yeah.
time, and then that has to be very difficult on the raising
It
the girl
is.
side.
It is, and I think we kind of mentioned this too, that some of the role models, or maybe not role models, but what's out there on the media too. You do have these women that, they're like all about me, but then they're also the ones showing more than I think they should. And, it's something where I need to tell my daughter when I have to tell her, you've got to respect yourself. You don't need to dress like this, show this, act like this to get the proper respect. Like, you're a female, you should be empowered, and you don't need to show what's out there.
That's the delicate balancing line.
Which goes back to a little bit more traditional, I think.
Right.
So,
and we'll hit this in the next segment a little bit more in terms of male-female relationships. But I think in terms of raising boys versus raising girls, and y'all are painting a pretty flowery picture of how women treat each other. Because I can promise you, there was women who may have wanted some traditional values being bullied by that. The hashtag, I get what you're saying about the hashtag Me Too movement was about women who've been abused, but it was also about if you're a woman and you still love your man and you still love being traditionally treated like a woman, I think there was that relationship is a little more prickly than you guys are painting a picture of.
You don't
because
have to tell me
that.
During the campaign, I felt it by some people who are maybe currently in power that I wasn't standing up enough, that I didn't have a good enough job. I felt it day one, but at the end of the day, Eric, I'm the one who's raising my kids.
Correct.
I'm going to have them for 18 years, and God forbid, if I don't do this job right, what is life if I don't do this right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to live with your kids, and they're going to. I want them to learn empathy, but I also want them to be strong men. But I also want them to be kind and
that's
loving.
where I think things get pretty complex pretty fast, right? Because imagine the balance we have to have between our daughter and our son.
Yeah.
And then just the mere fact that all of us, you've been married for how long now?
17 years.
So 17.
Good call. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and we just
did
celebrated 20.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that alone right there, I think, and I want to talk about this more in our next segment, but the mere fact that we're pretty committed as a couple.
As a couple in a
Right.
family
And
structure.
a family unit.
Family structure. I think that
is that commitment being really promoted in this new generation?
See, and I
because
think-
to me, it seems like marriage is almost becoming
and again-
old-fashioned or optional.
Well, and again, if you look at my mom's generation, your mom's generation, they've walked the fine line their whole life. I mean, right? Because my mom was very traditional, bringing up a family. That's a woman's role.
Right.
Let me, take care of the family. At the same time, pushing her 3 daughters and herself to be very independent. And my mom even probably was a generation ahead of herself. She blossomed later in life on her career because the first part, let's be very frank.
She was raising kids.
She was raising kids and supporting my father
Right.
politically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be very frank about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for my mom was 7, she was forced into, well, first of all, she owned a business early on and kind of, I felt like drugged my dad along for the ride. And I wasn't around for this, so I don't know, because I was really young. But in terms of those late life careers, and well, let's attack this more when we get into relationships. But she finally had to land 7 kids, get her career up, and balance that with no support structure at all by
Right.
herself.
Right.
Yeah.
And start a company. And so that's
Well, there is
y'all-
there is a fine line that we see, because there is a lot of people that are single family homes, and we know research shows the family structure is really good for those families. So
And
we'll get
sadly, the single family is becoming more
prevalent.
more
Yeah,
prevalent.
prevalent.
It's just-
Exactly.
and
Anyway,
and the divorcees. So
Well, that is a fact. So we're not going to stop that from
Yeah.
changing.
well, let's get
Yeah.
into that. We're gonna have to take a commercial break. Let's get
and,
into
and
that.
how we can stay committed when we come
Right.
back.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'd like to thank our sponsors, P&M, Indigo Mortgage, and Ryan Sower and Vac. We'll be back right after this moment.
I'm Ben Lucero, president and owner of Indigo Mortgage. We are a locally owned and operated mortgage company right here in New Mexico. This means your loan officers and processors are right here to serve you. Indigo Mortgage offers better rates and terms than that of big banks and out-of-state lenders. Our mortgage divisions include residential, commercial, construction, reverse mortgages, and VA mortgage loans. Let us serve you with an exemplary level of care. Indigo Mortgage, because nobody cares more about your mortgage loan.
We are connected by rivers, by mountain ranges, by unique culture. But what connects us more than ever? Renewable energy from wind and solar, P&M delivers renewable energy every day to our homes, businesses, and institutions across the state.
And they are committed to 100% emissions-free energy by 2040.
After all, we call this home too. P&M, together for New Mexico.
Ryan Sewing and Vacuum is New Mexico's #1 Brother dealer. Brother's new Luminaire has a built-in projection system which helps with quilting, embroidering, and sewing. Ryan's has a variety of machines to satisfy quilters, sewers, embroiders, and long armors. We offer the finest vacuums like Miele, Riccar, and Lindhaus. Check out our fantastic selection of fabrics and sewing furniture. We also offer classes, repair, and financing. Drop by our store in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Ryan Sewing and Vacuum, serving New Mexico for 37 years.
Welcome back to Let's Meet in the Middle. By the way, Ryan Solenbach, if you mention the show, he's going to give you a big discount on items that you buy, so I need to mention that. Ryan Solenbach. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Let's Meet in the Middle.
Right.
At Let's Meet in the Middle. Joining us today, and it's been rascally so far, our beautiful wives. We're very blessed to have you in.
Hello.
Jackie Moss, Apodaca, and Linda Strauss. And they haven't left, and we're still married. So something went right. In this segment, we want to...
I can promise you that the producer's probably saying we should have taped the whole time during commercials.
Yes.
Because that was probably best TV right there.
So look, in this segment, we wanted to delve a little deeper into the relationship element of the whole point of today's show, and that's relationships. And speaking as a couple that's been married 20 years and 17 years respectively, you know, I think if there's one thing I want to teach my daughter about relationships is tenacity. And I just want to, Linda, let's start with you, and then Jackie, we'll get your thoughts on modern day relationships. And is marriage really the future for some of these young people? Like your boys, you know, are you okay with shacking up? You know, at what point? No, I'm serious. Like what? You know, is that's it? Do they even use that term anymore? You know, back in our day, it was shacking up.
Married people. I don't know.
My boys had a conversation with me about a girl and a friend and a girlfriend and what's the difference this weekend. So our kids are just
we're gonna let them talk real quick. I lobbed out a question. Don't dive in. It wasn't a Jeff Apodaca question.
Well, then let them ask.
Okay. So, well, gosh, I don't know about that question yet. They're 10 and 12. However, you know, for our daughter, I think the other thing too is I want to let my daughter know that, you know, when, you know, in 30 years she decides to date, you know, that guy, The other thing that I think that's another thing, there's this out there that it's, you know, all roses and you're going to be on a pedestal, and for both people, and that it's work. It's work, and you find that person, and, you know, it's work, and you work for things together, and you build this family unit, and you stay together. There's not going to be any perfect. I don't think there's any perfect thing out there. But I do think that in this day and age, that's something that, you know, people are, I think that's why they're almost not looking for that marriage or that, you know, they're like, oh, this isn't what I thought. I'm going to move on here. I'm going to do this. And they're so confused and have so many, you know, there's so many options and stuff.
I think Jackie and I have talked to the boys even already, and I think we look at it more like we just want them to be happy, right, and be in a good relationship, and we're preparing them for that relationship, which was down the road. But you know, the boys seem to have a little bit more conversation with you on that topic than they do with me.
One of them thinks he'll never get married, and but he's my musician, my engineer.
Right.
He'll blossom in his own time. The other guy, I am saying, focus on a career that you love, and don't look around. But I know he's gonna, you know, fall in love and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I want them to develop their personalities and protect their hearts as long as they can along the way. And we talked about chivalry versus confidence in oneself and a belief in one's personality. That is the key. And with boys, I know there's a lot of arguments about, you know, are they, you know, teaching them to be too soft these days. Right. I want my boys to be kind, to be generous, but to be also discerning and figuring out like what is going on in this situation, but also be respectful of people of different religions and different genders, because you don't have to agree with someone who you don't live their lifestyle. Right. And I think this whole show of you guys. I mean, this is the point I'm trying to teach my sons. You don't have to live it. Respect it though. Respect
Right, and I
someone
think
else's
I think
life.
that's the biggest
Okay to
thing. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest
So,
thing that we talk about.
I mean, are you okay if your kids never get married?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand something. We look at it like we're very faithful in our faith. So we teach them our faith. We pray with them. We talk to them about that. At the same time, we're preparing, and probably how we were brought up, we're preparing them as be ready for your opportunities, be ready for those relationships, and there's different relationships for different people, right? We have friends that have same moms and dads, and that our sons are playing with their sons. You know, we just tell them, be respectful of it, be understanding of it.
But let me, because you guys are dancing around a bit. Look, let me be honest.
Bring it.
Okay, look. In all honesty, do you care if your son has a baby with a girl and they kind of bail and you're grandma and you're like trying to find, especially for you guys,
Well,
but let me finish. The girl takes the baby,
Okay.
right? And now, your son's trying to maybe your son taps out and just says, it's modern day relationships,
hold on,
whatever
hold on,
makes
hold
me.
on. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, is there any part of you that says, man, I would want my kid to be married, have children, so I can have some grandbabies, and
of
you see what I'm
course.
saying? So
Yeah, of
that's
course.
On an optimal.
But
But but my parents were divorced when I was 2, and they married other people. Life happens. I'm not going to say my religion prevents this. I'm going to say try your hardest and get the right help. But life goes on, and I found amazing people in my life who helped raise me, and I can't say that it's such a horrible thing if you're not right with the right person to begin with.
And I'm going to tell you right now, last year, a year and a half ago now, when the kids were just 10, I already had the birds and the bees talk with them. And we talked about marriage, and we talked about relationships. No, I mean, tell me, going into fourth grade. No, but you're talking but you're talking about. See, but hold on.
Okay.
But dude, things were already being questioned. Things were already being questioned in fourth grade. So my point is, you're painting. Do you want this perfect relationship? Well, we all want that, but they're like 10 or 11. So the best thing we can do as parents is let's prepare them for those situations and be respectful in those situations. Because we've already said, if you go get a little girl pregnant, right? We're going to be responsible for that baby. We've already had that conversation. That's how we feel.
Yeah.
So it's about basically.
So
Getting our kids in the right environment.
Talk about, man, you guys are a political couple. It's hard to get a straight answer out
I
of
think
you.
that's a straight
All right,
answer.
so look.
True.
Okay, look. Let me just give you this. Where do you see our daughter, in terms of relationships, in terms of where you would want to see her down the road?
Well, I mean, optimally, yeah, I would love to see her have a family and children. Although first, I'm going to tell her education first.
Yeah.
Get through that and see where things take you. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, if there is a person, I just want her to know that, there's let's not look at life in rose-colored glasses. Like, relationships, marriage, family, everything's, work. So I just want her to know it's not okay to just bail on things. It's harder than that.
But you have to look. But you have to look at something too, because you're.
See, because
like,
let me just tighten things up.
I got married at 40.
I believe in traditional marital relationships.
And so do we.
Yeah.
So do we. But what I'm saying
But
is,
see, where do we become old-fashioned and we teach that, and then we're kind of snubbing this
but hold
new
on.
equality?
What happens?
Yeah, but at the same time,
Things that are out of
we
your
believe in
control
traditional
happen.
marriages, but I got married at 40, Jackie was 30. So we got married later in life. I will tell you flat out right now, I'm a better husband and father in my 40s than I would have been in my 20s.
Absolutely.
No, I
so
agree.
is that perfect?
But
it's what happened. It's
But
how
just
our
what happened
But
for you.
what happened for us.
Yeah, and I don't care about the age, but the life arc is the goal that we still want in our children to value that tradition of man and wife, husband and wife, and that's what I'm kind of trying to get at, I guess.
but let's bring
because
it-
for me, I don't care if they go either, like if our kids turn out to be gay, straight, I don't care about that. But in terms of a committed relationship, where you have a tradition and you're together and committed to that, I think it's still we're dismissing that and we're not teaching our
Well,
kids.
let me tell you. I'm going to say something real quick.
Yeah.
We're very faithful with Jesus in our life.
Yeah.
Okay. What the Bible and the book of John has taught me with Jesus' life is prepare your children. So as a husband and father, I'm preparing my children for what I think is the best Christian, the best following. But at the same time, as it says, plant those seeds. I can't tell my children to believe in Christ. They're going to have to make their own decisions.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So at
That
the same
journey
time,
I agree with.
Well, at the
Then
same
again,
time, we're
you
bringing
have that tradition and those values to
well, and I
take
grew up
them
Catholic, and that's
right.
what I'm saying. So we're trying to do the same thing, but
Yeah.
you're bringing up stuff like that could be in a perfect world that we may not have any control over.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I think, but this is, I hate that helpless parent deal. I think
Welcome
we can
to-
guide.
welcome to
but
the
I
real
think
world,
we
though.
can-
Right.
No,
Welcome to the
but
real
you have-
world.
You have, as a parent, you have see, our kids are already way ahead of the game just because we've been married for 25 years and you're 17, and look at your parents
He's
and
having
look at
fun.
the example that right?
Right.
Did I say misspeak myself?
25.
25, 20. Did I say
We're
But
all
anyway,
in
but
it.
anyway,
Yeah, it feels.
we got a couple minutes left in our segment. What I want to talk about too is because it's about raising kids. Jackie was on is on a social media
Yeah,
group
that
called
was interesting.
Boys Mom Squad, and Jackie asked the question. I'm going on this talk show, and what should I talk about on this? And it was like the social media attack. It was like, let boys be boys, raising gentlemen, teaching kindness. But there was also some people in there saying white men are being attacked, and then other people said all men are being attacked. And I think
who cares about men?
and who
There
cares
were a lot
about
of
men?
those
There's a lot of those
comments.
comments too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
who cares about
But
men?
again, what
It happens.
But
See? Yeah.
But I think our point was this: is when we went into this, there actually someone posted a video, Tea and Consent. It's a YouTube thing that's supposed to be really good. But what I took from it, and I read, Jackie showed me the conversation because it's in her female group, or mom group. But what I took from it is, but it all came back down to let's raise our kids as gentlemen. Let's teach them kindness and respect. And it's about core. And what we've talked about is manners and self-respect. And I
Right.
think when you all come down to it, that's what we're all trying to do as parents. Is
Right.
teach
Okay,
our kids
so
manners and self-respect.
Let's
Yeah.
let
We
our
got about 30
wives
seconds. We got about
wrap
30
this up.
seconds to
Are
go.
we down to 30?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in total agreement with you on that point, is that I think manners, self-respect, that's where it comes from. And because I want my boy to actually, be able to be a boy, and I want him to, feel valued. And you do say things are flipping around a little bit. I want them to feel equal and that they,
Yeah.
We need to
Jackie.
I just want to tell my kids, like, nobody is perfect. We always say this in our house, nobody's perfect but God. So if you meet a girl, she's going to let you down. Mom and dad are going to let you down. Your teachers are going to let you down. You have to have, faith and control in yourself and a knowledge that it's going to be okay.
Right.
And that's all I want is happy,
Well, I'm gonna
healthy
tell you right now.
kids.
yeah.
I think we're going home with our wives. I don't want to get in trouble. This has been a great segment. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back with Chris
Thank you guys
Cleveland and
for
his
coming in
organization.
today.
We'll
We
be back
really
right after
appreciate
this.
it.
We are connected by rivers, by mountain ranges, by unique culture. But what connects us more than ever? Renewable energy from wind and solar. P&M delivers renewable energy every day to our homes, businesses, and institutions across the state.
And they are committed to 100% emissions-free energy by 2040.
After all, we call this home too. P&M, together for New Mexico.
Ryan Sewing and Vacuum is New Mexico's #1 brother dealer. Brother's new Luminaire has a built-in projection system which helps with quilting, embroidering, and sewing. Ryan's has a variety of machines to satisfy quilters, sewers, embroiders, and long armors. We offer the finest vacuums like Miele, Riccar, and Lindhaus. Check out our fantastic selection of fabrics and sewing furniture. We also offer classes, repair, and financing. Drop by our store in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Ryan Sewing and Vacuum, serving New Mexico for 37 years.
I'm Ben Lucero, president and owner of Indigo Mortgage. We are a locally owned and operated mortgage company right here in New Mexico. This means your loan officers and processors are right here to serve you. Indigo Mortgage offers better rates and terms than that of big banks and out-of-state lenders. Our mortgage divisions include residential, commercial, construction, reverse mortgages, and VA mortgage loans. Let us serve you with an exemplary level of care. Indigo Mortgage, because nobody cares more about your mortgage loan.
Welcome back to Let's Meet in the Middle. Joining us now, Chris Cleveland, Vice President of Under His Construction. Thanks for coming in today, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for
we
joining
really
us.
appreciate it. As you could tell, you're following up the wives, so I think
And you know what?
we
Thank God.
both can breathe a sigh of
Man, I
relief
was gonna say,
because
thank God.
this segment will be a little more relaxed. I feel like I
Or
was.
more heated. We were trying to keep you, as I told you, some of our floor producers.
I almost got your wife fired up.
Our floor manager's like, man, we should have taped the commercial time.
And I almost gave him a zinger too.
And also, we're on Facebook, so some of the people are like,
Yeah.
Jeff, we're always looking at your computer. We're on Facebook, so
Yeah.
sometimes I'm chatting with
Yep.
people on Facebook.
Yep.
So, Chris, I'm not ignoring you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to respond to people on Facebook.
And again, the
That's awesome.
Facebook is at Let's Meet in the Middle. So, Chris, I did want to talk to you about. So your organization is called Under His Construction, but you work with men and women. And so my first question to you was just, how do people become broken? Like, what journey have you seen people take, and where did that break down and they end up in really your organization? So
Well, Eric, so I can take my example.
Mm-hmm.
My example is that I'm raised here in Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, dad both worked really well. Good life up until 12. 12 was introduced to marijuana, and then mom and dad got a divorce, and some changes took place in my life, and I began to fill in those feelings and emotions with escapism, smoking pot, drinking, and that opened the door to a lifestyle of not coping with life on life's terms.
See, it's always,
So it sounded
always
like
comes down to
as I say,
coping
it sounded like you self-medicated to cope with yourself,
Yes.
which we've talked about that. That's one of
Yeah.
our biggest concerns, lack of parenting and some of the structure is kids are really self-coping or
See,
self-meditating.
That's one of the things I just want to throw out there again. You know, I always tell people if you loved each other enough, and I get life happens, but the goal I want to raise my kids with is if you love each other enough to build a family together, you got to be able to stick it out.
You have to. But life today is hard.
It is.
It's not like it was 50 years ago.
No.
Life today is hard. And raising kids today is hard. I used to work at the juvenile detention center in the 90s. And I started to recognize some of those children didn't even have half a chance at life because of the way their parents raised them. Today we have 9 million people incarcerated in the United States. Highest population of incarceration in the world.
In the world, yeah.
In the world. And so now out of those 9 million, imagine the amount of children who are being raised without mom or dad or both.
Right.
And being raised in a population where social media, gangs, all of those things now take the role of love. The parent is not
Chris,
there.
Chris, we talked about it.
No, that's a great point.
One of the questions, because what Chris really helps is they're helping men and women kind of straighten their lives out, work together in relationship building. Let me ask you a question, because we've talked about this on the show many times. In today's world, 60% divorce rates in the U.S. How many, out of the people you're dealing with and working with, how many people are single-family homes or came from single-family homes? And is that one of the issues in our country?
90%.
90%.
See,
90%.
this was my
this is
point.
what we
This is
agree.
my point to
we
the
agree
last
with this.
segment.
If you look at the national statistics, 83% of juvenile delinquency or suicide, all of those things come from fatherlessness. And so we really need to take a look at where our communities, where our social morals are coming from. They're coming from TV. They're coming from videos. They're coming from the video games is where kids are learning.
But I also think, and I agree with you there, but I also think like our kids exposed to some TV, our kids are exposed to video. But again, I think we talked about in the last segment with our wives, it's that core structure of family, because even that our kids are playing some of those video games, we monitor that and have that capability. I think that's one of our biggest issues. But again, it goes back to some of our schooling too.
But it also goes back to what he's talking about. And what I'm seeing is this movement away from, as we go into these hashtag movements and as we go into these social media movements, it's a movement away from the family and finding connectedness in your organization or your rally or your friend set or your population or your acronym, instead of finding identity through your mom and dad.
Yeah.
You
It's
see what I'm
not there.
saying? It's not
Well,
there.
let's
It's
talk about
gone.
that. But I want to talk.
That's right.
What is your organization doing directly to help? What was it? 79 people in your household, or how many?
No, 26.
26. So
Please don't make this 79.
So 26.
26 is a lot.
So
It's a lot.
26. So tell us a little bit about you're doing the day-to-day work with these 26 men and women to get them out of their situation, and what you're doing to help them get back into
What you
today's society.
talked about is so important, that having the family structure and being able to oversee. Yeah, video games is okay for an hour a day, not 7 hours a day. And so making sure that our children are be raised up in the admonition of the Lord and reading Scripture. Excuse me, our organization takes men, and fortunately, I was arrested 44 times. I was a crack addict, and spent 5 years in maximum security prison.
What got you from maximum security prison to where you are today? What was the turning point? What got you there?
God.
Just the faith of God.
And some faithful men of God. Two
role models,
pastors,
really.
two pastors in our community. One, Greg Griego, who used to run God's Spot here, was a senior pastor, and he was there was no left or right in that man. He told me as it was, the truth, and so I understand the truth.
How did you get to him?
In jail.
So they were ministering in jail, and you came to them.
Remember Steve Stucker did that.
Yeah, in jail. And so what we're trying to do is, for the most part, we're getting men and women off the street, out of jail, some of the hard, and maybe their lives. I get it's so cool for me in the congregation at my church, at New Beginnings Church, to stand there. I do security there as well, and over the 13 years we've had under his construction, I get to see the families that have been built because they're in the church now.
Yeah.
And I know all of them, and I know their stories. And their moms, their dads, their aunts, their uncles, and their sisters, and their children are now in the church. And so I try to teach men, God wants champions. God wants men who are chivalry is dead today. I was taught that we need to look at the women as moms, sisters, aunts, grandmas, and not as just the hookup. And I heard you guys say earlier, shacking up. Shacking up is an old term. It's now called macking on or hooking up. And so that's where we are today.
I've never heard macking.
That's where we are today, and it's meaningless.
How is your organization with the Me Too, and we all agree that there's an important part of the Me Too movement, but what are we doing, your organization, what are you guys doing with men today, helping them structure that so they are respectful and they show that respectful for the women?
Because let's be honest, and let me add to that too, men are set up to be the villains in this story.
Yes.
So how do we get beyond that narrative?
So first, biblical instruction, and teaching them a life plan. And so I believe that some of the morals and values that the knight in shining armor kind of thing, your wife talked about it, kindness, gentleness, loving, all of these kinds of morals are dissipated out of what we're creating today through the social medias and through our video games. That stuff doesn't exist.
Right.
And so I'm dealing with some of the men today. I just met with one of my men the other day, and that was his terms, macking on a woman and the hookup. And that was the only thing in his brain. That was the only thing he really was focused on.
No,
I
so totally get that.
Nothing towards the chivalry. Never
so
brought up that way.
Almost just teaching him that you don't have to just hook up with a woman. A woman is beyond just the sexuality element, but there's a person there too, I assume.
That's right. And
young, the men that you're helping and the women you're helping, how young do they go and where do they start?
You know, I've gone as low as 15. It's a very fine line. I have to be very careful, but I had a 15-year-old that was displaced from his home and told he could not go back home. You know, so he landed in our organization and has done very well.
You know, we've talked about this in other segments before, but you know, again, I'm a strong believer, Eric and I disagree on some of this, I'm a strong believer that a lot of these folks that come from these single homes or abusive homes go down that self-medicating, become drug addicted, and then we put them in our private prison system. I'm an advocate of taking them out of that private prison system, putting them in long-term 12, 18, 24 month type of care programs, and this is one of the programs that would be perfect where it's drug addiction.
I want to follow up with let him respond to that, and then I want to follow up with a question.
In Hobbs, New Mexico, the Corrections Department now has a 2-year seminary program where they have what they call cohorts, where there's 125 men going through these programs every year, and so it is a accredited.
I met one of the gentlemen that started that. Yeah.
That's
a great program.
Is a great program. Now we also have Prison Fellowship, where Chuck Colson started the program, Angel Tree, where I'm involved in Angel Tree. This year we're going to provide hopefully gifts for 1,000 children. But it's not just the gift; it's the message.
So quickly, if someone doesn't want help, can you help them?
Boy, we sure try. Sometimes I want it more than they do.
Yeah,
I sure do.
But I think we all agree
but
that someone has. You got to reach out for help. But those programs have to be there, have to be funded.
But
think
if
of the
you're
work
just
think of the work he could do if he had more funding.
You put people in it.
You're absolutely right.
If you just put people in it, they'll get out of it as quickly as they would get out of jail.
Some, but tell me the success rate you guys are having.
We've decided 1 in 25 based on the story of the sower. Right? There's 4 grounds that the seed falls on.
Anyway, Chris, we're going to have to go. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Under his construction, we appreciate it. Yeah. We'll be back right after this moment.
Ryan Sewing and Vacuum is New Mexico's #1 brother dealer. Brother's new Luminaire has a built-in projection system which helps with quilting, embroidering, and sewing. Ryan's has a variety of machines to satisfy quilters, sewers, embroiders, and long armors. We offer the finest vacuums like Miele, Riccar, and Lindhaus. Check out our fantastic selection of fabrics and sewing furniture. We also offer classes, repair, and financing. Drop by our store in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Ryan Sewing and Vacuum, serving New Mexico for 37 years.
I'm Ben Lucero, president and owner of Indigo Mortgage. We are a locally owned and operated mortgage company right here in New Mexico. This means your loan officers and processors are right here to serve you. Indigo Mortgage offers better rates and terms than that of big banks and out-of-state lenders. Our mortgage divisions include residential, commercial, construction, reverse mortgages, and VA mortgage loans. Let us serve you with an exemplary level of care. Indigo Mortgage, because nobody cares more about your mortgage loan.
We are connected by rivers, by mountain ranges, by unique culture. But what connects us more than ever? Renewable energy from wind and solar. P&M delivers renewable energy every day to our homes, businesses, and institutions across the state.
And they are committed to 100% emissions-free energy by 2040.
After all, we call this home too. P&M, together for New Mexico.
Welcome back to Let's Meet in the Middle. We're still married, hopefully.
I know I am.
Yeah.
You know,
see,
I think you're okay.
I think you're okay. You and you're climbing on a pedestal all the time. It's horrible.
I'm not climbing on a pedestal.
Yeah, I know
I'm being frank and real.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why my wife and I have a great relationship. Not like you and Linda don't. No, I know you and Linda.
Gracious.
But no, I think it was great. I think it was great having the ladies on.
Well, I want to commit to having our wives again because I think it's important. It keeps us in check. It gives us some grounding to the show. And there was so much there. I couldn't believe how quickly the time went by. And yeah. I mean, we could have done 3 shows with them, and I guess that's why we've been married so long.
We've actually been talking about bringing them on since we started the show. So I'm glad we did.
Look, I want to start out and just say, look, I still believe in. I think we need to teach children traditional marriage values that's what works best. If you look at the stats from Chris Cleveland, from under his construction, where does the breakdown begin? It always begins in the breakdown of the home. And I'll leave you with this thought as you dive into your, let's talk in circles again so I can't understand what the hell you're saying.
Well,
because between you and Jackie, it's like trying to nail down what you're saying.
I'm just a little bit more educated than you, so you understand.
It's not that you're educated.
That's a joke, my friend.
You guys get so generalistic. It's like at some point.
No,
okay, look. How do I know that my children are going to get a college degree?
Well,
let me tell you, because I got a college degree.
Right.
And I think teaching kids that, look, your mom and I don't have the perfect marriage, because I don't think any marriage is perfect. But
Well, it's work.
at the end
It's a
of the
relationship.
day, this is what I would love for your life. If you could find a woman like I've found and commit to her and commit to raising a family, you know, this is the message I want my kids to get.
And I don't disagree with that. And Jackie and I both have college degrees, and we're going to be focused on our kids going to college.
Of
but
course.
We're also, but look, if my child wants to go get a degree in music or into Taekwondo, then that might be his
Or
path.
just open up a Taekwondo. I'm fine with that
that's
too.
That's what I'm saying. That might be his path.
Yeah.
But during the show, you're talking about this relationship thing. My kids are 11. Again, going back to my faith,
Yeah.
I'm just preparing my children,
Yeah.
right, as the best I can on the Bible that I learned and the faith and the path that I'm walking in. I'm just, you know, Jackie and I are just raising our children that way.
So in your Bible, is there
I think it's the
traditional
same-
marriage between a man and a woman? Or
Yes, but what I'm saying-
Because I can't nail
but
you
what I'm
down
saying-
to saying this for some reason.
No, but what I'm saying is you have this. No, I'm not going around in circles at all.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. Land the plane right now.
No. What I'm saying is you're trying
Do
to make.
you
Let
want-
me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
You're trying to create a path for your children that's this perfect path. That's not the world. And Jesus didn't even walk into that if you want to start talking
Okay,
about faith. So no, hold on.
boy.
So what I'm basically saying is that we are preparing our children, and look, people have different paths. I'm not going to be judgmental on people's
I'm
different
not
paths.
either. I'm
so
not
I don't know
saying
why
that,
you're
but,
going this
but
direction.
setting the expectation.
But what
See,
I'm saying
that's
is
what I'm
we
telling
are
you.
doing that. We
No,
are
but
doing that.
you
No,
won't
you're
say
judging
it.
me now.
No,
you're questioning
no.
and judging me on my
I'm not.
parenting right now.
I'm
That's exactly
not.
what you're doing.
I'm saying, are you setting the expectation, yes or no?
We're setting the expectation, yes or no. But my
Yes
point
or
is,
no, you just said
but no,
yes or no.
my point is, you're acting.
Oh,
you're
boy.
acting like, dude, you are like creating a path that I don't know if my children are going to live that path.
But the expectation is there.
But my
Is
goal is I'm preparing my children for their future as best as I can, based on my faith, based on the way I was brought
Would you
up.
be happy if your kids were married with kids? Let me just ask.
I
it
would
more
be very
simple.
happy, but
Okay,
at the same
good.
time,
That's all
but-
I was looking
no,
for.
But
it
at the
doesn't
same time,
seem like you
if my
want
ch- No, but if my child who grew up to be a man that didn't end up getting married and having kids, would I be sad about it? No,
No,
as
me
long
neither.
as he's happy.
And look, no, me neither. But at the same time, I think we do need to communicate with this younger generation to say, look, everybody's going to teach you that marriage doesn't work, or you don't need to be married, or
I think
women empowerment.
That's not true at all.
Well,
By the
okay,
way, that's not true at all.
Well,
That's yours. That's your
no,
summary.
that's what
That's
what the world is feeding right now.
I don't get that.
Come
I
on,
totally-
are you watching social media?
I am watching social
You don't
media,
think
and
they're
the social
bashing marriage and
Not all,
traditional
not
values?
everybody, not everybody, not everybody.
Oh boy.
See,
Let's-
I just disagree.
How can you disagree?
No, because
Okay, let's
by the
talk
way,
about the Democratic debates.
Anyway, tomorrow night is the Democratic
Yes.
debate, and look,
You're down to 10 Dems.
well,
but
there's still-
they're
there's
not
still
pulling out.
20.
It's just the 10
There's
that's
still-
going to pull.
Right.
When do they start belling?
Well, I think by November, December. I think by the next debate. But here, let me tell you, this is where
Who
something.
would you like to see bell first? Let me ask you that.
I don't think Bale first. I think who I'd like to see, who I think is probably the best candidate that I think can beat Trump and get elected, is Joe Biden. And I do think there's a couple of vice president candidates within the field. But let me tell you.
Will the cannibals eat Biden enough? Because you know
They're
they're
gonna- well, it'll be
going to go
interesting
at
tomorrow.
him. They're
It'll be
going to go at
interesting.
him, guns a blaring.
But let me-
Nobody wants Biden in that pack of 10.
Well, of course, they're all running for president.
Well,
Of course
look,
not.
they're all running for president.
let me make this
of
very clear
them,
to my Democratic fans.
Who
Hold
would
on, hold
leave
on.
themselves the door open to
Let
be
me-
vice president?
I think they all are. I think
You
they
think
all are.
you think they're gonna,
besides
you
Bernie
think
Sanders?
Kamala's left the door open
Absolutely. I think they all are. I think they
Oh,
are.
with
But let
the
me tell you, but hold on, let me
racism
finish. Let
and-
me
you think
finish. Let me
Biden would-
finish. Let
okay,
me
go
finish,
ahead, go
please.
ahead.
We're talking about the debate, because I'm going to tell you right now to my Democratic friends, if the Democratic Party continues to go down the progressive, go down Medicare for all. We all believe in universal health care, but Medicare for all and giving free
Everything to
everything to everybody. I'm just telling you,
who wants
Elizabeth
free
Warren,
stuff?
Bernie Sanders will lose to Trump in the general election, and maybe not in New Mexico. But when you start looking at Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, those areas,
This
so I'm
is
just
a whole
trying.
nother
I'm trying to.
show.
Well, I'm trying to. Well,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
have that before the primary.
Yes.
But I'm just trying to tell everybody that the Democratic Party has gone so far left. If we put a candidate up that is going to be a socialist left candidate,
Elizabeth Warren, does she have a shot?
I think they all have a shot. I
really do.
I think Elizabeth Warren within the primary system has a shot. I'm just saying I believe if the Democratic Party goes with the Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, we will get 4 more years of Trump. And Trump is actually very vulnerable because of the white women, the suburban women. A lot of Republicans are fatigued with all his tweets and everything else. And so, but again, it really kind of depends. But tomorrow night's going to be interesting.
I think if the economy continues to perform, it doesn't matter who your side puts up. Period, the end. At the end of the day, people care about the economy and jobs, and that's going to be the number one issue that's going to push Trump over.
Well, will you tell your boy Trump when you're at his rally that's what he should be tweeting about? Not about some fake map, Sharpie thing?
Trying to deal with that is a show for a different time.
I want to have a whole show on his tweets.
At least we kept the wives happy today.
No, I think,
hope.
And the thing about it is, you and I disagree on a lot of things, but we always do come together, and that's the reason of the show, because it's extremely important that we come together as a state and as a community.
And at the end of the day, we both want our kids to be happy. That's where we're in.
Absolutely. Anyway, hey, we're going to wrap up today's show. We'll be back right after these
messages. Go out and
messages.
make a difference in the world.
We are connected by rivers, by mountain ranges, by unique culture. But what connects us more than ever? Renewable energy from wind and solar. P&M delivers renewable energy every day to our homes, businesses, and institutions across the state.
And they are committed to 100% emissions-free energy by 2040.
After all, we call this home too. P&M, together for New Mexico.
I'm Ben Lucero, president and owner of Indigo Mortgage. We are a locally owned and operated mortgage company right here in New Mexico. This means your loan officers and processors are right here to serve you. Indigo Mortgage offers better rates and terms than that of big banks and out-of-state lenders. Our mortgage divisions include residential, commercial, construction, reverse mortgages, and VA mortgage loans. Let us serve you with an exemplary level of care. Indigo Mortgage, because nobody cares more about your mortgage loan.
Ryan Sewing and Vacuum is New Mexico's #1 brother dealer. Brother's new Luminaire has a built-in projection system which helps with quilting, embroidering, and sewing. Ryan's has a variety of machines to satisfy quilters, sewers, embroiders, and long armors. We offer the finest vacuums like Miele, Riccar, and Lindhaus. Check out our fantastic selection of fabrics and sewing furniture. We also offer classes, repair, and financing. Drop by our store in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Ryan Sewing and Vacuum, serving New Mexico for 37 years.
Welcome back to Let's Meet in the Middle. I want to attack some of the middle things.
You better make it quick. We got 2 minutes.
I know we both believe in marriage.
Yes.
I have to believe that we
both believe in marriage. We both believe in basically raising our kids to be respectful, not only to women but to all.
Yeah.
Right.
And definitely respect is a key issue.
Right.
And not only to raise them with respect, but to expect to be respected.
Well, we didn't really talk about this.
Because I think for me, that's a big thing for my daughter.
Absolutely, and you as a school teacher, but specific at the elementary, middle schools, we've run into it a couple of times. I'm asking teachers out there to make sure that boys are being respected also, because boys have to learn that too. And if the Me Too movement is striking back at young boys at middle school and high schools, and we've talked about that.
Yeah.
So I think
let's not vilify people just based on their gender.
And I think
let's make sure we're raising good citizens.
Right. And I think where we all agree, whether it's Chris or our wives, we all agree a strong family structure, bringing our kids up the best way we can, to be respectful, to be prepared for their opportunities. Let that path come, but we have to make sure we're raising our kids the best way.
And if you're out there listening and you're married, stick it out. Find a way to make it work.
Well, there's plenty of help and groups, and if you need self-medicating, instead of going down the drug areas, Chris's group, things like that, does very, very well. So
absolutely.
But anyway, I'll text you tomorrow.
As always,
I'll text you tomorrow after our after the debate, because it will be interesting, because we always have fun time.
Oh boy,
we'll see you on your radio show.
Yeah.
You can follow us at Let's Meet in the Middle, and you can also follow us at New Mexico Minute. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
At House 770 Strauss on Twitter. In the interim, go out and make a difference in the world.
Hey, New Mexico, never give up and always find a way. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
God bless.
Find us on Facebook at Let's Meet in the Middle, or you can email us at meetinthemiddlenm@gmail.com. This is a production of the Sun Broadcasting Network.